There are a lot of disturbing rabbit holes within the Epstein files, and yet some are even darker than others. And the Snow White rabbit hole to me is one of the darkest. So about a month and a half ago, before this big Epstein files bonanza, I was covering the files that were released in December, going through one by one and analyzing what was released, what was skipped, what the mainstream media is not showing you. And one of those pictures that I found that I had never seen reported anywhere else was the Snow White picture. And as you can see on the screen right here, this is that very picture. This is a more cropped version, but this comes directly from the files, and this image was released back in December when they dropped, the bulk or majority of these images. And to me, it always stuck out as being a particularly eerie photograph because of, the fact that it seems to be a victim wearing a Disney princess costume, and looking at the image, it appears to have been taken inside of Epstein's Manhattan mansion, which is obviously not a good look. It's pretty damning. But I've got a couple different screenshots to show you. So as you can see, this is the Epstein library right here. This is EFTA 007-41531. And in this email, it's very simple. The Snow White was twice as soon as she put her costume. Smiley, smiley. Sent in 2010. So you can see the sender is redacted. I don't know why that was redacted. Shouldn't have been redacted. Jeffrey Epstein's email is redacted. I don't know why that's redacted. Definitely shouldn't have been redacted. But when you consider that we have this image of a Snow White princess in a costume, it's just horrific. It seems like this person, this victim, as soon as they put this Disney costume on, which is just, to me, how I interpret that. But as you can see, here's another document we have to look at. EFTA 00893031 from Jeffrey Epstein to redacted 2010, same year that other email was sent. Text of the email, someone had messaged Epstein and said, got feedback from audition. Students want to film me. We'll call you tomorrow. Still in Hamptons. Miss you. And then Epstein writes back to this person, Brett Ratner is going to film a big movie, Snow White. I would love to take photos of you in a Snow White costume. You can get it from the costume store. So a lot of allusion to Snow White, and clearly somewhere along the way, the victim was coaxed into wearing a Snow White costume. And then as we can see from the email, it seems like they were then and the messaged Epstein and essentially stated as soon as the costume went on, the being commenced. And it's weird, there's actually 60 mentions of Snow White in the files. You can see there's a lot of duplicates. I've read through these to you guys, but this is strange. Fully redacted. We don't know who sent this to who. We don't even know who these emails are between. It's so bizarre. Why even release a file like this? But hey, Kay, I am not in New York City. Not sure when I'll be back yet. I have new hair again. I watched Snow White, and this is what happened. How are you doing? 2012. Then we've got Epstein from 2010 again. Same time period as those other emails. There's no message here, or no text or anything. Subject, Snow White. That's it. Then you got 2012, another message to J.E. Jail. Never seen this email before. Jeffrey Epstein jail. I watched Snow White ... Sent in 2012. So a lot of obsession with Snow White. So we've got another one, and here we go. This is Jess Staley. Actually, wow, look at that. Here we go. So here we can see an email from Jess Staley to Jeffrey Epstein's email. Maybe they're tracking you, question mark. That was fun. Say hi to Snow White. Curious, so it seems like this Jess Staley guy may have met Snow White or met the victim dressed as Snow White. There's actually a lot of different emails, dealing with this. Here we go, 2014. CNN reported today that Walt Disney's new film called Jet Black, the African-American version of Snow White, has been canceled. This is clearly quite the racist email. Man, I've never read this. All the 7 dwarves, dealer, stealer, mugger, forger, drive-by, homeboy, and shank, have refused to sing Hi Ho because they say it offends black prostitutes. They also say they have no intention of singing It's Off to Work We Go. So I know that's really offensive. I'm sorry. I mean, even here, look at this. There's a literal color of the bathroom. I guess they're repainting this or retiling this or whatever. Snow White's one of the colors. So, I mean, I think you guys get it. Snow White, 2009. Here we go. Before those initial emails from Epstein to someone else. Snow White, question mark. Now what? Yeah, there's a lot of mentions of Snow White in the files. But what I will say before we move on, here's again, this guy, Jess Staley, pops up again from Epstein to Jess Staley. Remember, Jess starts, maybe they're tracking you. That was fun. Say hi to Snow White. So, I don't know. Seems like he had something to do with Snow White. Epstein creepily actually responds back to Jess Staley and says, what character would you like next? And then Jess Staley wrote back, Beauty and the Beast, ... And Epstein, to round this out, said, well, one side is available. I don't know what that means. Maybe he's saying Beauty is the one that's available, not the Beast, or what? But wow, yeah, I hadn't read those emails actually before now, talking about Beauty and the Beast. So, let me remind you, there's a real victim dressed, I believe this is a victim, survivor, dressed as Snow White here. So, this is where it gets really disturbing. So here's a painting. This is a painting made by Maria Farmer. Maria is a survivor of Epstein's. She and her sister survived Epstein. Maria actually made a police report about Epstein in the late 90s, attempting to turn him in on CSAM charges. And that police report was released recently as a part of the files, and as it turns out, I mean, yeah, she was trying to raise the alarm and no one listened so many years ago, which is no big shocker. But Maria paints her traumas that she took on after being involved with the Epstein ring. And clearly you can see in this picture, here is Snow White over here in bed. But we technically don't know who this is supposed to be depicting. It could be Maria, it could be any other victim. Maria actually painted these images, and specifically like this painting, she actually sent some of these into the FBI trying to raise the alarm. But who is this guy? As you can see here, she painted on JP Morgan Chase, money to sell victims to Epstein and associates friends. I can't read that last word. Well, let me show you. Does this look familiar to you? It almost appears as if this is the exact guy that was painted into the image. Well, that's because, I mean, obviously it is. Who is that guy? It's Jess Staley, the guy that I was just reading to you the emails between he and Epstein. So Jess Staley is heavily implicated in Epstein. I mean, there are over 1,200 emails between Jess Staley and Jeffrey Epstein. Jess Staley is a very, very, let's just look him up. Let me read to you who he is. Yeah, Jess Staley has got his own Wikipedia page. He's an American banker and the former group chief executive of Barclays. He spent 34 years at JP Morgan's investment bank. After moving to Blue Mountain Capital in 2013, he became CEO of Barclays in December 2015. In November of 2021, he resigned amid a regulatory probe into whether he mischaracterized his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. According to the New York Times, Staley was Epstein's chief defender at JP Morgan, helping Epstein maintain accounts at the firm amid internal concerns that Epstein was using the accounts for illicit activities. So, yeah, just to sum it up, because we could do a deep dive into Jess Staley another day, but Staley was like Epstein's ride or die homie, whatever you want, however you want to phrase that. He was there. He was at JP Morgan. He was lobbying for Epstein. If there was an investigation launched, he would try to shut it down. If there were any rumors that spread, he would squash those. If people raised concerns about Epstein being involved with JP Morgan or the fact that they believed Epstein was doing illegal things, Staley would be right there with his foot on their necks saying, no, Epstein did nothing wrong, drop it now. So Jess Staley is clearly a huge part of Epstein's life. And I guess let me just read this to you. This is from the Wikipedia page, his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. In an April 2022 article about JP Morgan's ties to Epstein, the Wall Street Journal reported that Jess Staley traveled to Little St. James, Epstein's private island, in 2009. In January of 2023, it was reported that Staley was named in a lawsuit by a victim of Epstein against JP Morgan, which alleged that JP Morgan had enabled Epstein's behavior. The suit alleged Staley knew Epstein was f***ing women and that he personally witnessed Epstein girl. In May 2023, in legal papers, Staley claimed that JP Morgan's chief executive Jamie Dimon and he had discussed business with Epstein, despite the fact that Dimon denied under oath ever having involvement with Epstein as a client. In June 2023, it was reported that Staley wrote on December 26, 2009, while Epstein was on house arrest for procuring a for and of soliciting a in Florida, "Fun tonight, what do we do next?" Epstein replied saying his driver, whom he described as former DEA or Drug Enforcement Administration and armed, would pick him up in St. Thomas in the Virgin Islands. Epstein continued, "Helicopter also available for a tour around. Remember, I own the two big marinas, Yacht Haven Grand in St. Thomas and the marina at Red Hook. You can use my ATVs, jet ski, gym, etc." Later that month, Staley wrote to Epstein, "Arrived at your harbor. Someday we have to do this together." On March 3rd, 2025, Staley appealed a UK financial industry ban over his ties to Epstein, accused of approving a misleading letter about their relationship. Staley denies the allegations, claiming unfair treatment, blah, blah, blah. In the court proceedings, the FCA alleged that Staley pushed JP Morgan to keep Epstein as a client despite human concerns. In June of 25, Staley lost his bid to overturn a ban from holding senior leadership. September 17th, 2025, Thomas Massey of Kentucky claimed during a House hearing featuring testimony from FBI Director Kash Patel, that Staley was on a list of at least 20 prominent men that Jeffrey Epstein had sex young women and girls to, and that this list was in FBI possession. And finally, in December 25, it was revealed that Staley and Larry Summers, had been appointed by Epstein as executors of his estate. So those are just some kind of quick catch-up things with Jess Staley, man. Like I said, you could do a whole video about him. 1,200 plus mentions in the new emails. He's all over them. And he was actually communicating with Epstein, allegedly, while Epstein was in prison serving his sentence while he was on house arrest. He's been to the island. There are victims that accuse Jess Staley of actually them, like this headline right here. Newly unsealed files claim the banker, who has denied any wrongdoing, forced a woman to touch his during a massage before her. Yeah, I mean, clearly this is a message that is trying to be sent here. So one more time, this sequence of events, you just have to know Jess Staley is, according to all reports and documents, he's a really bad dude. So let's start out here. We've got the victim dressed as Snow White, which we pointed out 2 months ago. And we've got the email from redacted to Jeffrey Epstein. The Snow White was twice as soon as she put her costume. Then we've got another email with Epstein seemingly trying to convince what I would say is a victim to put on a Snow White costume. Says you can get it from the costume store. Then, as you remember, there's an email exchange between Jess Staley and Epstein that goes, "That was fun. Say hi to Snow White. What character would you like next?" And, you know, obviously the word next implies that there was a start, like next up. I mean, you don't have a next without a beginning. You have to have a beginning and then a next. So, what character would you like next? Beauty and the Beast. And Epstein has that joke, you know, one half is available or whatever. Then you have this painting by Epstein victim Maria Farmer, who actually painted this guy into an image depicting this dude shushing what looks to be a victim in his underwear with roses, and the victim is wearing a Snow White costume. And that appears to be a painting of Jess Staley based on this reference photo. And Jess Staley has been accused of victims and being a major part of Epstein's operation. But still, yeah, no answers. Jess Staley is a free man. He's walking around today. Nothing has happened to him. He's not in prison. He's not arrested. He's not currently being investigated. There are no pending investigations, no pending charges. There's nothing. He's just a free man. And that should piss you off. I'm not going to lie. That should definitely piss you off. But yeah, thank you guys for joining today. We will be back in a day or two with another update. I mean, there are millions to go through in the new Epstein files. I mean, I've been talking about this stuff for years now. The first video I did on this channel was about Epstein back in 2024. And I've been focusing on exposing these rings and these criminal organizations for years. I mean, it's been my fixation, and I've risked all my accounts. I've been slandered by tons of people, had so many people lie about me and say that I'm doing this for this certain reason, or I'm just crazy, or I got a comment the other day about how I must be a predator myself because I enjoy looking at these things, and then someone made a video about me. So I don't know, it's been a tough week for me and just been weird, and it's made me kind of emotionally unhealthy, if we're gonna be honest. I mean, it's already really dark looking through all this stuff, but I'm doing this for the victims, and I'm friends with multiple Epstein victims. I'm friends with loads of other victims from loads of other cases, and soon a lot of these people are going to feel really f***ing stupid when they see what we've done with both of these documentary series that I've been working on for the past 2 years. We have some major revelations, some major things to go through with survivors and victims that we've been working with, and yeah, I'm really excited for y'all to see it. But anyways, guys, thank you for being here. Thank you for supporting the channel. If you ever see any misinformation about me spread online, please fight back and either report the video for lying about me, or comment at minimum and say, you know, like, this dude is not doing this for money and for clicks. And yeah, I mean, it really bothers me. I'm not gonna rant about it. I could. Yeah, alright guys, well, I'll see you in a few days. Stay suspicious, always question everything, keep that tinfoil hat on, and yeah.